Sonic the Hedgehog, one of the biggest gaming icons since Mario, and this year celebrates his 20th birthday. And so I'm here to review Sonic Generations 20th anniversary game for the PS3, Xbox 360, and PC. Let's get into it. Now this review is actually going to be a little bit different from a Batman Arkham City review, where I actually try to take that more into a technical standpoint. I'm kind of throwing out a whole bunch of different styles. So this one's going to be more of a vlog setup, in the sense that I'm going to more talk, less professional, because from that video review, if you couldn't tell, I was trying to talk professional. I don't know how well that worked out, because I actually haven't uploaded it yet as I'm recording this one, but that's besides the point. Anyways, so essentially Sonic Generations, as I said, is the 20th anniversary game. And this is the one that takes place in time travel, which explains why you're playing as both Sonics. For those who don't know, you're playing as classic and modern Sonic in this game. Classic Sonic, essentially the differences between both versions is that the classic Sonic doesn't have a homing attack, it doesn't have a boost, he's slower than modern Sonic, and he doesn't have an air dash. Those are the three things. Whereas modern Sonic has the boost, the homing attack and everything, but he doesn't have the spin dash. That's really the only thing that modern Sonic doesn't have, I believe. And he doesn't, honestly, I know a lot of people wanted modern Sonic to have the spin dash, but I think it's kind of confirmed they're not going to give him the spin dash. He kind of doesn't need it, honestly. And modern Sonic can drift and everything. That's just me, but let's start off with the story. So the story is essentially Sonic and his friends are celebrating Sonic's 20th birthday, and all of a sudden, this random purplish creature that has the name the Time Eater sucks in all of Sonic's friends into these weird portals and shit, and Sonic himself is thrown into like this weird white ass wasteland where his friends are trapped in different worlds and shit, and your whole goal is to save them and beat the Time Eater. And as you go through, you find out that you're in the past, and you see classic versions of Sonic and Tails who are there to help you get the Chaos Emeralds and beat the Time Eater. Now there actually is a plot twist with the Time Eater, and actually a cool reference to the Time Eater that I enjoyed about the story, in the sense that they actually tied in colors with this game. But you're not going to get that unless you play colors. I mean, it's not really that much of it's not really that much of a big play into it. It's just that a couple of cutscenes you can remember, you've seen before in colors. And it's kind of like that, but it doesn't play like a huge role. But I like the fact that they did tie in both games with each other, which I thought was really cool considering it's the same writers. Now, honestly, when it comes to story, that's probably to me the worst aspect of the game. Because if anyone played Colors, you know that Sonic Colors had an ass amount of comical jokes and writing and everything, and a lot of people fell in love with that Sonic came back in terms of personality through the game, and so did him and Tails, along with the new voice actors, which are still current for right now. And I'm sitting there, and then you're playing Generations, and you realize there aren't that many cutscenes, and on top of there not being that many cutscenes, there barely are any jokes. The best jokes in the game come near the beginning of the game or the end of it, with the whole plot twist and the joke surrounding Eggman and everything. But honestly, they don't really do that much with the obvious jokes you would expect them to make about certain portions of the series. Like when you're in the Dreamcast area, they don't make the joke about the obvious Sonic joke about the fucking moon, how the moon shouldn't be there. And when you get to the Sonic 06 level, they don't make an Elise joke. They don't even attempt to make any type of joke, because there's no cutscene before this level starts. It's kind of more of your straightforward gig, which I don't know if they did that intentionally or they were paranoid about not doing that, or was it because of time constraints. I'm not totally sure, but we just know that in terms of story, that's probably the worst aspect of the game. And the story's not bad, it's just really, 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 really basic. Now to get into gameplay, you have about essentially 9 zones with 3 stages you have to play in order to progress in the game. 2 of those stages are essentially modern and classic style of the same stage, and the third is a bonus out of 5 BS extra challenges that you can do. You have to do at least one of them to get this quote-unquote key to fight the boss of that particular area. And it's It's actually pretty enjoyable. I mean, you have classic Sonic who plays like he plays almost exactly like he did in the Genesis games. For those who played the demo of Sonic Generations, you know originally in Sonic Classic Sonic they set him up to be kind of heavier than he should be. I'm so glad they fixed that. He's not as heavy, and modern Sonic's handles for the most part as well. I will say out of the two of them, modern Sonic has probably the most glitches in terms of just the main glitch with modern Sonic is honestly when he's not boosting. When he's not boosting, he kind of handles a little wonky, and it kind of could lead to some stupid deaths, especially when you're doing 2D platforming, because as you know, they kind of took modern Sonic and made him a mix of doing 2D sections with 3D sections. Thank God, I will admit though, in this particular game, they did take, you know, they did do what they didn't do in colors, and they improved it. They took away his double jump that he had in colors, and they also actually did more 3D setups. Like, so it's actually a balance now, instead of colors that was literally 90% of the game was fucking in 2D. In this particular game, it's more of a balance. So you can, at least in modern Sonic wise, you know, classic Sonic was all in 2D. The stages are actually really fun. They actually stepped the shit out of the level design also, which makes the game really fun. There are alternate paths like Sonic originally was. If you played any of the Genesis games, you knew for a fact that Sonic games used to have ass amount of different paths and shit, which kind of disappeared in later titles and just turned into point A from point B bullshit. When you get to Generations, you're going to get a hell of a nostalgia rush just with the level design. Also, the fact that the levels themselves are all remakes of old levels. Just to go through the level list, you have Green Hill from Sonic 1. You have Chemical Plant from Sonic 2. You have Sky Sanctuary from Sonic 3. Or Sonic 3 and Knuckles, depending on who you are. You also have, what's next, the Dreamcast era. So you have, what is it, Speed Highway from Sonic Adventure 1. You have City Escape from Sonic Adventure 2. You have Seaside Hill from Sonic Heroes. You have Crisis City from Sonic 06. You have, I believe what's next is, yeah, you have Rooftop Run from Sonic Unleashed. You have Planet Wisp from Sonic Colors. Those are the 9 levels you essentially have. And they remade them all. They're all remade. It's not, they all have hints of the levels they originally were. But they also throw in some other hints from other Sonic stages. The most notable one is the one in Seaside Hill. If you take the bottom half, you'll run into something that's very similar to, I forget the level name itself, but it's in Sonic 3 also. It's the water level of that game. They have the whole poles where you have to like inch up, or else if you don't, you're gonna hit the spikes that are set up right there at the side, and it's like a fucking water current pushing you through, so you can never actually stop and shit. There's hints of other levels in the game on top of the giant multiple paths. In terms of level design and, you know, fixing the characters themselves, at least the gameplay, they went in. That to me is probably easily the best part of the game, on top of all the special features and the bonuses and everything you get. Because for a 20th anniversary title, it's fucking great in that aspect. On top of the music, they remixed everything. Everything has literally a classic track and a modern track. On top of the fact that you can unlock tracks from previous Sonic games, and there's no bias. You can get shit for anything from like Sonic 1 to Sonic Spinball to fucking Sonic CD to Sonic Adventure 1 to Sonic Adventure 2 to fucking Sonic Colors. God, you can get shit from Sonic Rush and Sonic 4 and shit. They did not. I think there's like 50 tracks, and on top of all of that, you get, you know, your typical. You can look at the art shit. You can change the music in any stage you want. So any of those tracks you unlock through doing challenges and bonus missions, you can actually take that track and play it during a zone. You're not forced to play with just that one track. And I love the fact that they did that. There's also a skill shop in the game that as you go through and you complete more challenges, you get unlock different skills. Some of them are useful, some of them aren't. One of the best things I will say that you need to unlock for Classic Sonic is that there's a point where you can actually unlock the homing attack for Classic Sonic. And I know a lot of people aren't going to like that, but just think of it this way. It's Sonic 4 if Sonic 4 had classic Sonic physics like it was fucking supposed to. In terms of graphics, it looks fucking beautiful. But I have heard that the Xbox 360 version looks more like shit than the PS3 version. From what I understand, the Xbox 360 version it's not like they're actually using the graphics. They're like using video files. Now I have the PS3 version, so I wouldn't know. So for any of you Xbox 360 owners who have the game on there, I heard the graphics aren't as good, or they just turn those cutscenes into like video files. In terms of like graphics in themselves, though, they look fucking great. It looks fucking great. It's fucking, to me, it was beautiful as shit. The levels are fun to play in. It's addictive as hell. You have your red rings back. Yes, you can play Super Sonic in the game. It's, to me, it's my favorite 3D Sonic game. I will put this over Adventure 1, Adventure 2, over Heroes, everything. In terms of gameplay, it's the best. In terms of writing, I still like Sonic Colors comedy more. Even though I do understand Sonic Adventure 1 and Sonic Adventure 2 had good writing to them, I still kind of prefer Sonic Adventure. I still prefer Sonic Colors writing, but gameplay, I'll give it the Generations. Generation is probably, I mean, obviously, it's not competing with much. I mean, you're competing with Sonic when he was doing his classic to 3D transition games, and then a whole bunch of gimmick shit when they couldn't figure out where they wanted to click with him. And I'm glad that in the last 3 years of the damn franchise, they've really, the last 3 years of the franchise, they really set their game up and stuck with something. Because if anyone's noticed, the style that Sonic is in currently, we've seen since 2008. It's essentially Sonic Unleashed, fixed and fixed and fixed. Sonic Unleashed went too fucking fast. Sonic Colors didn't do enough in 3D. This, to me, is a good balance of both. The boost doesn't feel overpowered in this game. I don't feel like I'm losing my shit. And I also don't feel like I'm losing control of the fucking character. Mind you, as I said, there are glitches in the game. Mind you, I didn't really run into glitches through initial playthroughs, but the more you play the game, I've noticed a couple of glitches. For example, I was playing Speed Highway, and when you know how the perspective switches from 2D to 3D, there's a point where I'm supposed to be in 3D, and the perspective is like this fucking overhead view for no reason. And it was like that for the entire fucking level. And I don't know why the fuck that happened. The other glitch I've run into is when I was playing on Seaside Hill, where fucking levels won't fucking load. And it's not, the glitches, honestly, the glitches are random as shit. I've heard a lot of people say there's a lot of random glitches in the game, and it's kind of bad to keep running into them randomly. I've only run into glitches where where the level wouldn't load, or I glitched out of the side of a fucking, or the fucking perspective glitched out. I haven't run into that clipping issue I heard people have, or bosses freezing up or any of that shit. I haven't heard about any of that. I've only heard about the basic, I've only had those two. But the fact that I've been playing the game for it hasn't even been a week since its release, at least in America, and it's already having glitches, kind of makes you not want to fuck with it. But through an initial playthrough, I never had that. I never had a glitch in the initial playthrough. It was only when I went back and played the game like 6 or 7 fucking times. Because for anyone who wants to know, I kind of put Batman Arkham City down after that fucking game. Like, when November 1st hit, and I got the fucking game, that's all I fucking did that week. Just saying. So, final verdict on the game. The game is really fucking fun. The game is really fucking good. You got your minor glitches and hiccups, but almost every fucking video game has that problem. They don't come often enough to ruin the game. To me, it's the best fucking 3D game we've had, period. And I'm hoping in the future, just for future reference, I'm hoping the next Sonic game that comes out, next year or whatever, features more characters, because the only playable characters you have are Classic and Modern Sonic. I'm hoping it features more characters. I'm hoping they take an original story. We won't have to do no more nostalgia shit for a while, because they've been beating nostalgia into the ground lately with Sonic 4 and fucking Sonic, and with this game. Like, there should be no more nostalgia-based games. The voice acting is great. I don't have any problem with the voices. Like, some of the voices, I will say the other comedy I did like in the game was essentially, you'll free characters after beating the first 2 acts, which is Modern and Classic. And if you beat it, depending on which Sonic you beat it at, the character that you release will have a different reaction. Like, if you beat it with Classic Sonic, they'll all be like, what the fuck is wrong with you, Sonic? Like, something looks weird about you. And if you beat it with Modern Sonic, they'll just have their normal reactions. It's like, the only problem I have with that is that Sonic never responds, neither Sonic responds in talking. I mean, mind you, Classic Sonic doesn't speak, but Modern Sonic doesn't talk even when he can talk. He doesn't talk in any of those cutscenes. Like, there's a cutscene when you free Amy. She's like, I thought I would never be able to kiss you again or some shit. And Sonic just kind of shakes his head. And then if you free Knuckles with Classic Sonic, he's like, did you gain weight? And Sonic, and Fat Sonic, and like Classic Sonic looks at his belly and he's just like pats his stomach. He's like, oh. Like, it has its humor. It's just not as funny as Colors to me. Colors has a whole bunch of classic, you know, obvious jokes to it. Whereas this game had more material to work with, and it didn't do as much, so it's probably the weakest point of the game. I haven't heard about any DLC in terms of like new levels. If we're getting some, I hope we do, just to add on to the game. But currently, the game hasn't been out for a week, so we may get DLC, we may not. But as I said, all in all, it's a good game. To me, it's the best 3D game, and that's essentially my review. So if you played the game, put your thoughts in the comments section below. If this review can convince you to get the game, cool. But anyways, this has been the Insane Game Freak. That's been my review for Sonic Generations. Happy birthday, Sonic. Enjoy your future. It's gonna be great. And I'll catch you guys later. Peace. Fastest thing alive.